Hey guys, welcome to the month of July 2024. Let's get into the energy that we have going on to start our month, to start our week. I will say we are starting out with a bit of a bang as we enter the month of July, and it is probably going to be a rather heated month. There could be some type of like climactic event that plays out around the end of the second week, somewhere on or around July 15th. We have a pending Mars-Uranus conjunction that is going to be coloring a lot of what goes on throughout the course of this month, and we're going to be talking about that a lot. And I will say, to start our week, to start our month on July 1st, the moon is going to be transiting the sign of Taurus and will come into conjunction with both Mars and then Uranus. So we actually, to start the month on July 1st, pay attention, because there could be some type of like preview or like preliminary insight or like little inkling of something somehow that is related to what is actually pending and coming with that Mars-Uranus conjunction on the 15th of July. So we could be getting a bit of foresight in the energy on Monday, and with the moon conjuncting Mars and Uranus, this is a great day to get some hard work done, but people are probably going to have sort of a short temper, and there could just be some random things popping off as well. And so that's really what we're looking at to start the week. Now, moving into Tuesday, we've got a lot of energy going on. We actually have a very, very energetically active first week of the month of July. We have our new moon in Cancer that is going to be happening on July 5th. That's Friday, I think. New moon in Cancer, this is a cardinal sign, cardinal cycle, action-oriented time of year. Things are about to start happening. Things are about to start moving, okay? So we've got that coming. And on Tuesday this week, actually the 2nd, we've got a lot of activations happening as well. We have, first of all, Neptune stationing retrograde in the sky. That's a big outer planet stationing in its motion. We're probably going to be feeling it. We need to talk about that. Mercury's entering Leo. This is bringing a vibe shift. We've got the sun in an exact square to the nodes of the moon, past and the future, crossroads, turning point energy really coming through big time this week, especially with the pending new moon in the sign of Cancer. And we've also got Venus and Saturn in a trine. We got a lot going on. Pluto's very emphasized with what's going on to start our week. So all that being said, let's just get into it. Let's talk about how things are coming together for us, what we're dealing with energetically as we approach the month of July, and well, I guess not approach it, as we begin moving through the month of July, and what perhaps things might be looking like for us as we move towards the new moon on the 5th. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Monday, July 1st, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. If you guys stick with me till the end of this report, I have done a collective tarot reading for us as well. I like to tap the energy field for more than one modality whenever I'm doing these energy overviews, just to get an alternative energetic perspective on what is going on out there. There could be some messages in there for you. That will be at the end, so come with me for that if you're into it. But let's get into the astrology. This month of July, as I was saying in my intro, and as was indicated by the previous full moon that we had in the sign of Capricorn, if you guys have been following along the past couple weeks, you know that I've been talking about how, to me, that full moon chart that was set up, that we had, the last one that we had, our midpoint in our actually new moon in Gemini cycle that is waning out right now, which will lead into the new moon in Cancer cycle that will happen on July 5th. That full moon, that to me was indicating like major tension building towards some type of like inevitable end and some type of like emerging beginning somehow, and like kind of the struggle in between those two phases switching places, basically, okay? And as we have moved through this 2 weeks that is represented by that full moon phase, I feel like what has been happening in the planetary alignments that have been going on have been quite reflective of that very energy, okay? There is this sense of sort of like building tension going on. We just had Saturn station retrograde. Saturn is, it can, it's limitation and it's control and it's restriction, and it can make things very tense and very frustrating and very like overwhelming and like everything feel kind of heavy and burdensome. And it's also, though, you know, a major part of the Saturn retrograde this time around. I feel like, because it's happening in the sign of Pisces, it has to do with actually like a breakdown in authority that may have been really like the pillars of what was like holding up the frameworks of reality on some extent for like a very long period of time. And I talked all about that in the last video. We will continue to talk about it as we move through this entire Saturn retrograde period of time, this taking us through next fall. I really do think between now and next fall, you know, November, the end of the year, okay, we are on a path leading us directly towards some major transitions, very unexpected shifting power dynamics perhaps. And this whole period of time is just giving like very transformational vibes sort of across the board, microcosm, macrocosm, in our own individual lives and world, and also being reflected on a greater world stage in terms of what's going on there. And I will also say, this month of July, you guys, and moving through the rest of the summer, with this Neptune retrograde that we're coming into at 29 degrees of the sign of Pisces, to me, this is talking about breakdowns and illusions, okay, that have really colored our perceptions of reality. I think there's going to be a lot of questions that come up over this period of time regarding what is real, what is true, what we've always believed in the context perhaps of finding out that what we thought was up was really down, and maybe like what we thought was down was really up. There's probably going to be some very mind-bending insight, okay, that we gain throughout this period of time. And there may be kind of like this internal situation going on where we're just having a real hard time wrapping our head around perhaps the illusions that had previously clouded or colored our perceptions and judgments of things. Again, like breaking down and then like having to come to terms with perhaps some quite harsh or unexpected realities that a good way to say this is, I think we're moving towards a season of red pilling. Okay, so we're going to put that out there and put it to the side. I do want to bring it back now to what we have going on to start our month, actually to start our week. And as I said, pay attention, you guys, because there could really be some things going on that we don't realize maybe right now are related to what is going to occur, take place in the next couple of weeks. Mars and Uranus, this is a big activation that we've got going on. It only happens once every 2 years. Mars is, of course, it's the masculine energy on one hand, it's our energy, it's action, it's activity, it's the fire energy as well, right? And then Uranus, this is sudden change, okay? Unexpected change, things happening like totally out of the blue, shocks and surprises. Uranus is also the galactic fixer and the great rectifier. Uranus brings silver linings and blessings in disguise. A lot of times when we're dealing with Uranus energy, you know, it's the lightning hitting the tower energy, right? Like, it seems like the worst thing in the world that is happening, but once the dust settles and like everything clears and everything and we start like moving through, you know, time, we find a very valuable purpose behind it, especially in the sign of Taurus right now, all about awakening us to the truth of authentic value and authentic potential. But that being said, Mars and Uranus coming together, like this is explosive, right? This is Uranus is the lightning planet, and this is sudden action, shocking action, like explosive events that we had not been expecting or anticipating. In the sign of Taurus, this could like literally be like, this could actually be like big earthquakes or like earth, like catastrophic type of stuff playing out, like big weather events and stuff like that, because we're talking about the earth sign of Taurus, the energy of Mars and Uranus being the lightning planet. So we could see like literal like earth type of stuff go on, but it could also be very like financially oriented. There could be some like big financial or economic event that happens. Or, of course, it could be some type of like sudden attack, right? Because Mars is also the planet, the ruler of the battlefield. So we could see some type of like sudden, unexpected like attacks or like war like behavior or something like that type of thing happen as well. Or it could also have to do with like resources or food. I already said like land, but like agriculture, projects, things that we've been working on, like creative pursuits and stuff like that. Something really random could happen. But I will tell you also, Uranus and Mars on a higher octave, this is like extreme inventive energy. Like there could be some major like technological advancements that are like very unexpected and all of a sudden like gaining prominence, or you know, being in the forefront somehow. There's a lot. We're going to be talking about this throughout the month of July. I do think, as I said, that full moon chart that we are coming out of now was indicating to me like this very thing, that we would be in a position of building tension between that full moon that happened and actually the second full moon in Capricorn that is going to happen, marking the midpoint of our Cancer new moon cycle that will happen on July 21st. So between this last full moon, which I believe it was on like June 22nd or June 21st, it happened with the solstice, and where we're heading to now with the new Capricorn full moon coming up on July 21st, sometime between then and now, I do expect some type of unexpected event that everything's sort of like building towards, and then it causes some type of change that is changing the way that things are going to be going forward. And again, like we're talking about, as we move into the energy of this week, we have the sun coming into the exact square with the nodes of the moon, cardinal signs, north node Aries, south node in Libra. The sun is in the sign of Cancer. We're heading towards our Cancer season. Something about the past and the future, what we're letting go of, what we're moving on from, what we're actually emerging out of, evolving out of, and where we're being pulled next from almost like a higher power. We are all, I feel like, as we go through this next several months with Neptune stationed retrograde, a stronger connection, actually, like a stronger inward connection to our higher selves, our higher power. And I don't want to get too ahead of myself because I'm going to start talking about the energy for July 2nd in a minute here. I kind of wanted to talk about the energy of the 1st with the moon activating the Mars-Uranus pending conjunction before I get there. But I will say, sort of before I move on to there, that Neptune retrograde, like this internalizes on one hand the Neptunian energy, which is about ultimately where and how we connect to a higher power. So I do think that a stronger inward relationship to our own intuition and like our own sort of like inner vision in a way that helps us to maybe gain clarity from the hypnosis and trance of the material world is something that we are going to be like encountering and walking and working with as we move through this Neptune retrograde process as well. And again, we'll get there in a minute. I feel like I'm like all over the place. I want to center back with July 1st as we're starting this week. We do have the moon transiting the sign of Taurus. The reason why I just was kind of like going on and on a little bit about the Mars-Uranus conjunction that is incoming is because, as I said, the moon will be activating both of those planets to start our month, to start our week on Monday, July 1st. When the moon is a trigger for planetary activity, okay? It rules our emotions and our internal environment, and when the moon is transiting through the zodiac, it activates planetary alignments, even if they haven't truly like come into full fruition yet. Now, if the moon was aligning on the 15th with Mars and Uranus, that would be like elevating that energy even more. But since we've got the Taurus moon coming through now to start our week, that actually means that the moon will, I haven't looked at the chart of that day, but just the way that things work, if we're starting on July 1st with the moon transiting Taurus, there is a very good chance that the moon is actually going to be opposite Mars and Uranus in the sign of Scorpio in 2 weeks when we have this activation going on. So, oh my, the moon looks like it may be activating the conjunction between Mars and Uranus as well when we get there, but it's activating it even though they haven't joined each other yet, and this energy is building. It's building, and Mars is moving towards that energy energy, and Uranus is feeling the incoming pull of Mars right now. And then with the moon coming through there to start our week, this is why I'm saying there could be something that is like popping off somehow, or coming up somehow, or sparking somehow, that is in some way either like creating a ripple effect that is going to culminate in whatever happens with that Mars-Uranus conjunction, or that is just sort of, as I said, you know, literal earthquakes, like, or metaphorical earthquakes, like the tremors that something is about to happen. This could be a day also with Mars and Uranus together and the moon coming through there, very sensitive to like the potential, like, okay, Uranus is a planet that has a lot to do with our ability to like pick up on and perceive that which has not necessarily come into fruition yet, but which the energy is guiding us towards. Uranus is a planet that has a lot to do with like putting us on a proper trajectory to some like elevated, corrected cosmic outcome. Okay, Uranus, it makes the changes for us that we haven't been able to make for ourselves, in order so that the divine blueprint essentially can unfold properly and come into fruition. Like, it strikes the tower if we haven't been able to get ourselves out of it, so that the proper evolutionary soul path can occur. Okay, if that makes sense. So when we're dealing with very strong Uranian energy, a lot of times it can really like spark our spidey senses. Like, it's a sense of anticipation, like this anxiety in the air. Like, a lot of times you can like pick up perhaps on the fact that like something is coming, something is pending, something is building, something's making you feel a little, you know, the hairs on your neck, back of your neck standing up a little bit or something, but you can't necessarily like pin down what it is. It just a lot of times it can have this sort of like prophetic nature to it, even though we don't have the context to understand what's actually happening, playing out, or indicating. And with the moon coming through there, the moon is, you know, our sensitivity, and Mars there, that is our energy body, right? So you might like literally feel in your body that like something's about to happen, something's about to change, like something, like also this breaking point energy as well. The exact square playing out between the nodes of the moon and the sun in the sign of Cancer, cardinal energy moving towards new moon in Cancer, cardinal cycle, action oriented phase, time of change and activity happening generally. You could be definitely picking up on something that is pending and could have a very like transformative or climactic or significant nature to it somehow coming up. So I'm going to say it for like the third or fourth time. Pay attention to what's going on today. If weird things happen, if you feel something, maybe like jot it down or something. It might have some type of relevance, all right, in the coming week. Again, you know, could be financial matters that this is indicating with the Taurian energy going on, having to do with relationships as well. Relationship themes are kind of big right now. Mars and Venus are actually traveling in a sextile. Mars in the sign of Taurus, Venus's sign, and Venus in the sign of Cancer right now. So, you know, it could be things to do with relationships along those lines as well, partnerships, like agreements, legal stuff as well. I feel like the Saturn retrograde could have like this time generally could also be bringing up past legal matters that are going to be like rectified or sorted out somehow as well. Taurus though, land, assets, resources, materials, and also with Uranus and Mars coming together in the sign of Taurus, you know what that's also really going to indicate, you guys? That is going to indicate breaking up stagnation. Things that have been fixed, stubborn, cemented, unmovable, just like heels dug in so far that they will not budge. Nope. With the Mars-Uranus conjunction coming in the sign of Taurus, things that have been too fixed, okay? This is a fixed sign energy, very stubborn, steadfast, willful energy. Things that have been unwilling to move, release, budge. I do think that we're going to see, you know, and that is also what this could indicate, like some type of sudden activity or something that happens that creates the movement or momentum, or like unsticks things in a way that is like out of our control perhaps, or that there's just no avoiding. So breaking up stagnation is definitely going to be coming through with this as well. And of course, we are also we're going to be moving through a cardinal new moon cycle. Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, Aries. These are the cardinal seasons. These are the cardinal phases of the year. Cardinal energy is about action. Okay, these are the active, action-oriented, change-based seasons of the year, and that is exactly what we're moving into now. So this is kind of a crucial week. This is really this month of July is probably going to be a pretty like critical, crucial month in terms of what's played out throughout the course of this entire year, and how it started essentially and where it's going. But we've just got a lot happening all week. And as I said, I've already talked about most of it. I'm just going to kind of list it out again. We've got the sun squaring the nodes of the moon. We've got the new moon in Cancer coming up. We have Neptune stationing retrograde. That's a big deal. We're going to talk about it in a minute. We've got Mercury changing signs on Tuesday, leaving the sign of Cancer, entering the sign of Leo, which is interesting as well in terms of the setup that we have on Tuesday that we're going to get into in a minute because of what the sun is doing. Mercury, the mind, will be in the sign of the sun, while the sun is in an exact square to the nodes, and actually the moon on Tuesday will enter the sign of Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, right, who's at 0 degrees of Leo. So both luminaries are essentially pointing to this mental reevaluation of things, perhaps, or coming to a place, even just in terms of our like mental frame and mental perspective and the way we're thinking and stuff, where we're ready to like move on from something and like start doing things perhaps a bit of a different way. We also do have this ongoing trine right now happening between Venus and Saturn in the sign of, in water signs, which normally, you guys, Venus and Saturn coming into a trine together, like this would be really, really good for like laying new like foundations in terms of projects and like creative pursuits and stuff that we're working on. But with Saturn retrograde in the sign of Pisces, it's going to be like really slippery. I feel like this time is actually more about transitioning from like one way of being and doing and like setting things up and managing and controlling things to sort of another way. So if you are going through a process where you're looking to like implement new like structures or systems or ways of managing like current projects that you're working on, or like finances and stuff like that, I feel like that is actually the better expression of this energy. Normally Saturn trines are very stabilizing and enduring and indicate longevity and things, but when we're talking about Saturn retrograde in the sign of Pisces, Saturn retrograde in the sign of Pisces really has very little staying power. And again, we're in a very transitional time right now. It's a time for figuring out how to do things better, how to be more effective, and actually how to be more like self-contained in what we're doing, what we're implementing, the projects that we're involved in, financial, this, that, or the other, even relationships. It's about really taking things more seriously, being more mature, really having a greater respect for ourselves and others, and what we value, making that a priority, setting boundaries and stuff like that. A very good time and energy for this. But you know, the newness is emerging. We got to let go of the old. And I feel like figuring out how to do things better for ourselves is a really good way right now that we can just generally use this energy. We do have some very sensitive, touchy astrology going on to start the week, with the moon transiting through the sign of Taurus, coming into the conjunction with Mars, coming into the conjunction with Uranus, and all the Cancerian energy going on as well. A lot, like I said, could be on the verge of starting to happen, and the breakdown, okay, of old collective narratives, projections, ideals, and illusions is upon us. It is red pill season, you guys. There is no going back from this point going forward. The pillars that held up the hologram reality of conditioned collective belief from the past are now going to begin to crumble. That being said, let's start talking about our energy for Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024, you guys. This is the day where we've got all of those things going on at once. We've got Neptune stationing retrograde at 29 degrees of Pisces. Because Neptune is stationing at 29 degrees of his sign of rulership, I do feel that this is indicating, you know, the clarity on one hand, but also just the mind-bending like level of disorientation on the other hand that are indicated here could literally be going back thousands of years. Like, there could be questions about the nature of our recorded history and reality coming up here. And I'm talking about like more than just one person, like quite a substantial and growing segment of sort of like the growing or the global population, really questioning the entire nature of our reality, our history, our science, every, like, all the different areas of life. And in the context of like what is actually real and what is some type of an illusion that we've just always been under the perception that it was real because that was what the narrative told us. Okay, there's likely to be a lot of breakdowns and narratives going on, and why I'm saying thousands of years in our entire, maybe perhaps recorded history, is because this is happening at 29 degrees, a sign of Pisces, the very, very last degree of the sign of Pisces, and we are currently transitioning out of the Piscean age, okay, that defined the past 2,000 years and even a little more than that. So because of that, because we're at the last degree of the sign of Neptune's transit through his sign of Pisces, I feel like this on one hand could literally be bringing up the entirety of the Pisces age that we are coming out of right now. Also, in the context of our shift of ages and our transition into the age of Aquarius, that is about awakening, right? Uranus is a planet about awakening. Neptune in Pisces, this is an energy about the dream and the sleep and the slumber. So there, with this Neptune retrograde, 29 Pisces, at this point in time, with everything else going on that's going on right now, our cosmic blueprint could literally be indicating some type of snowball effect in terms of a collective awakening in regards to our entire perception of reality. And at least, Neptune entered the sign of Pisces in 2011. So there could also be some things that we've been sort of believing or under the perception were true or something like that, that began around 2011 that we for some reason are like seeing through right now, or questioning right now, or maybe having second thoughts about, or are just seeing in a new light, or through a new lens, or in a new context somehow. I do think this next several months, while we have Neptune retrograde, we've also got Saturn retrograde, we've also got Pluto retrograde, and as we are kicking off on this Neptune retrograde, we've also got a lot of Pluto aspects going on. We've got Mercury will be forming an opposition to Pluto retrograde. We've also got the moon entering the sign of Gemini, forming a trine to Pluto retrograde. And of course, we've also got the sun squaring the nodes of the moon, the past and the future. There is something very transformative in the context of what we're moving out of and what we're moving into, wrapped up in this Neptune retrograde somehow. I do think actually this next 6 months, like the closest thing that I can think of when I like think of this energy is in the movie The Wizard of Oz. How everything is building to the point where they're going to see the great and wonderful Oz, and like everything that's building to the climax when they realize like, oh, it was never real. Like, it was the great and powerful Oz was always, nothing but an illusion. Like, I feel like that is the type of experience that we could be just navigating through, both in like small ways and larger ways throughout the course of the summer and moving through the rest of this year. I feel like that's really sort of the perfect example of what's happening in the greater scale right now as we are emerging out of the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, really calling into question Neptune retrograde, a lot of our belief systems that have defined our reality, perhaps generationally, up until this point of time. But again, like, if you guys have been following my work, I've been talking so much about being at a point in time right now where we are breaking karmic cycles, and we are, getting opportunities to kind of like clear the karmic load of the past and really start over in this fresh new energy where we are being called like to actually activate the greater potential within us, to come into a greater alignment with our higher selves, to find that like latent destiny that our higher self is calling us towards. Like, this is an evolutionary process of humanity that we are moving through right now, and we've got to be released from a lot of the toxic negative attachments based in belief systems from the past in order to go in that new direction, which is also a lot of what this energy is encompassing in the way that all these transits are playing out. But we are exiting an age of Pisces right now, you guys, which of course is a big deal right now because we've got Neptune ruling Pisces, stationing retrograde this week. Whenever a planet stations in its motion, it amplifies the energy of that planet. It's likely to be a very like maybe disorienting week. Like it might literally feel like nothing is real. Energy levels after we move through Monday and into Tuesday and the moon leaves the conjunction to Mars, energy levels could actually drop and be quite low. You might just feel like you don't have like a whole lot of like vigor going on. Like you could just kind of feel like a little bit dazed and confused, like zoning out a little bit. That is the tendency when there's a strong, prominent Neptunian influence. There could also be issues with water going on, I will say, this week, especially Tuesday when we've got Neptune retrograde. Excessive water that is just pertinent somehow in the experience. As I've said, Monday, you know, people could have a short temper, short fuse. You be very quick to anger, very quick to react with Mars and Uranus there. Anxiety, anticipation, we talked all about that. Also, there could be this extreme feeling of like a need to do or a need to change something, like a very impulsive but powerful like need that is like driving us forward to act somehow. Not a great day to bother people to start our week this week. And I feel like that holds, like we should keep that in mind as we move through the month of July and towards this Mars Uranus conjunction, because people are probably just going to be honestly like kind of ornery. Like everybody's like maybe a little jumpy, like a little bit like wound up, you know what I mean? Because there is just this feeling like even in our body of, okay, like I feel something coming, but I have no context to interpret it. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Like I don't know what to be prepared for. I don't know how to act. So I'm just sort of like tense. Again, as I've been talking about with that full moon, a rise in tension that people are probably just not really going to know what to do with. So just try not to bother people if you can help it. Very high energy though. Get work done if you can. This is the best use of this energy. Be as productive and stay as focused as possible. With Venus trine Saturn, and this is also a very supportive energy for any type of like focus along the lines of what we're creating, what we're bringing to fruition, projects that are going on right now with Mars in the sign of Taurus as well. Just generally a good week, an intro to the week at least, to accomplish things. And there may be sudden like innovative solutions that come with the Mars Uranus. Uranus brings solutions, right? Genius solutions, like brilliant solutions coming through. So there could be something to do with that if we are focusing on our work. Get things done though. The more things could also get done more quickly because Uranus is like lightning speed, right? So you might get things done just a lot more quickly than you would have anticipated while we've got this energy going on. Especially if we, again, are just like staying in our lane, not bothering anybody, just like focusing on the task at hand. Tuesday, this is that action-packed day. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm literally just jumping around everywhere. I thought I was going to Tuesday in a minute, but then I came back to Monday, and now here we are back at Tuesday. So let's just go with it. We've got the Neptune retrograde, Mercury entering Leo, Sun squaring the nodes, and then the moon entering the sign of Gemini, trining Pluto retrograde, and Venus trine Saturn exactly. It is reminding me again of what the full moon chart that we had a couple weeks ago was explaining to us. We were moving towards, we are at the shift point and things are going to begin to change. I do feel like with, you know, whatever's going on this particular week, especially with that new moon coming in on the 5th, Mercury entering Leo, the sign of the sun. We currently have Pluto retrograde at 1 degree of Aquarius. So Mercury will be forming an opposition to Pluto retrograde in the sign of the sun. When the sun is square the nodes, there could be some very fated revelations, secrets revealed, seeing a deeper layer into things, looking into the depth, solving a root or core problem somehow, something that has been hidden, covered up, like under the surface, being exposed. Again, it's really, really giving to me like the Wizard of Oz vibes when they figure out that it's just literally that guy and it's not the all great powerful Oz that everybody has. Literally the entire world, their entire like Emerald City, right? Like their entire civilization, like they are built and established on the belief that Oz is real. Like that's essentially like their god. Like that's, you know, everybody runs on that notion in that place. Like that's what I feel like is going on here. It's like the whole world believes, you know, this certain thing. But because of what is about to be made known to us somehow, and it might not be, you know, something like, it could be a series of small things that are like the camel's back type of, broke the camel's back type of thing. Like, it could just be like so many little things that we're like, oh my God, like I'm finding out this and I'm finding out this and I'm finding out this. What else don't I know? Actually, I don't know that I can believe anything that I used to believe. And actually now I'm questioning literally everything back to like 2,000 years ago and what I learned in 5th grade social studies. You know what I mean? Like, this is, it's on that scale. That's what I'm talking about. Like the Wizard of Oz, like their entire paradigm was built on this illusion that they all bought into, and then just one day, all these little crew of people show up, and the whole thing is blown apart, essentially. That, I feel like, is sort of the period of time in our unfolding cosmic blueprint that all of these energetic activations are indicating us to be moving towards in terms of how they play out in our reality. So it will be very, very interesting to see the type of information that we gain access to and how it alters our perceptions over the coming months. But with Mercury in the sign of Leo across from Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, while the sun is squaring the nodes, some type of trajectory changing, life-changing perhaps, information that we are finding out, buried from the depths or shrouded in the mystery that's coming through. And then the moon, it's not just, you know, Mercury doing that, the mind, it's also the emotional body. The moon enters the sign of Gemini on Tuesday, which is ruled by what planet? Which is ruled by Mercury, which we just got done talking all about, okay? So we've got the moon in the sign of Mercury now. We've got Mercury staring off, gaining some perhaps really interesting secrets from the underworld that Pluto is kind of communicating right there. And then, you know, of course, it's bringing into context the past and the future with the sun ruling Mercury's placement, square the nodes. And then we've got the moon, our emotions, our internal environment, the trigger for planetary activity, in the sign of Gemini, ruled by Mercury, bolstering whatever Mercury is doing with Pluto in a trine to Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, Gemini and Aquarius. These are both air signs. When a planet enters Gemini, hits 0, 1, 2 degrees of Gemini, we've got a trine going on between Pluto retrograde and Aquarius. So we've got Mercury, the mind, facing off against Pluto, underworld, lord of the underworld. And we've also got the moon in a trine, facilitating our ability to see, perceive, feel, and understand things that perhaps have been hidden that now are being exposed, that change the course of how things are going to play out going forward. So, you know, we've reached some type of critical and transformative turning point, I do feel like, coming in here. And then, of course, we're talking about being in the midst of a double Capricorn full moon, one and then the other, and a new moon in Cancer coming in. That is a cardinal cycle, cardinal phase, action-oriented time of year. This will result in some type of revelations happening and the breakdowns of illusions, ideals, and beliefs that have been coloring our vision and perception since, like I said, you know, at least perhaps 2011 when Neptune enters the sign of Pisces. But honestly, for a lot of people in a lot of places, in terms of essentially the majority of our perceived recorded history as well, there's going to be a lot of questions coming up about what we've been believing and what we've been believing in. I do think this energy is going to bring both clarity and confusion too. It's really interesting how that works. I mean, we're talking about Neptune in the sign of Pisces. Like, Pisces is two fish swimming in opposite directions. It's a very dualistic sign. Energy works according to two very polarized octaves. And, you know, Neptune, it's Neptune retrograding, okay? As I was saying earlier, we're going to have a stronger relationship to our own inner guidance, our own intuition, our own inner vision, our own higher selves, like the spiritual connection, our ability to perceive spirit on an intuitive level within us, I do feel like is going to be quite prominent as we move through this period of time. So I think we're going to gain, you know, some higher understandings about things, and we're going to feel like we can kind of trust our gut more, and we're going to kind of like have these like internalized reactions to things that, you know, make us feel like something's true or something's not. And a lot of things that, again, like I've been saying, we've been believing to be true, we're going to come to find are actually perhaps the inversion of what we thought they were, and that is going to give us a sense of, you know, elevated understanding and clarity. Remember, we've also got Jupiter in the sign of Gemini right now, which is indicating expanding our mind, expanding our perception, seeing the bigger picture. We're going to gain some type of higher knowing, higher understanding. That is the truth, okay? And it's going to come through the breakdown of illusions. But on the other hand, it's again that type of feeling like when you figure something out that you didn't know when you figure something out that you didn't know, but like through the process of doing that, it actually adds all these extra question marks because you're like, oh, well, if I didn't know that, what else don't I know that I don't know? And the disorientation in the reality that can come as a result of that. So it's like this clarity on one hand, but it's also this like confusion and this, what was that word I was just using? Disorientation on the other hand, because it's like coming to terms with, again, like everything we thought was up was down and everything that we thought was down was up. And we're figuring it out now. Like we feel like we've got a better idea what's going on. Like our eyes are being opened, but it's also bringing into question like everything else that we need to question. So questioning every aspect of our reality, I do feel like could be a major, major, major theme that we're going through over this next several months through the fall and maybe even into next year, especially also with Saturn currently retrograde in the sign of Pisces, Pluto retrograde in the sign of Aquarius right now. Questioning every aspect of our reality and realizing these realizations, which I'm going to tell you guys the Sabian symbols for the position of the sun and the earth and square to the nodes in a minute. And the themes of revelations are quite relevant in terms of the way that the symbolism is coming through as well. But questioning everything, right? And realizing that the truth has perhaps been disguised as an illusion. And maybe, just maybe, the illusions have been cloaked as the truth, and coming to see things for what they really are, and then like sitting with, whoa, you know, what does this really mean? And what am I going to do next type of thing? Okay. So, very dominant also season for like the woo-woo type of stuff now with with Neptune going retrograde, like spiritual experiences, awakenings, this inner draw to figure out or to just gain a greater perception of the hidden nature, the invisible nature of the reality playing somehow like a more prominent role, or us just being more drawn to that type of thing in our actual like day-to-day lives, seeking out metaphysical knowledge and how it plays into what we are uncovering and discovering as we move through this very revealing energy that is being indicated, more clearly perceiving cracks in the facade, removing the rose-colored glasses, seeing behind the curtain. I think that we're probably honestly going to see kind of some uncomfortable truths about other people as well that we may have been involved in relationships with, and financial situations or work dynamics. Like with the Mars, Venus, Uranus situation, there could definitely be relationships that are being drawn into all of this as well. But the truth, okay, the truth is what is ultimately going to emerge here. And there's no hiding from it, and there's no denying it. That's also, Neptune is also like where we hide, where we escape, what we, you know, evade and don't want to participate in. With Neptune retrograde, there's no hiding from anything anymore at this for this period of time. You know what I mean? Like we can't hide things, we can't get away with things like lies, deceit, manipulation, like again, like projections, like mind games and stuff like that. They're not going to produce the same results that we normally get when we have a direct Neptune. And it's very significant to me that this is happening at 29 degrees. Now, Neptune is going to retrograde, and Neptune will not actually formally leave the sign of Pisces until like the end of 2025 or 2026. I can't remember. So, you know, we still have another good year with Neptune in the sign of Pisces. But the breakdown, I'm telling you guys, the breakdown is starting now. The illusion, this is the destroy the illusion, the Great Awakening, the buzzword, the Great Awakening that everybody's been talking about for years and years and years now in sort of like the astrological and more like metaphysical communities and stuff like that. This is where we're really going to start to see progress in that direction. It's going to be real interesting. That being said, like I said, I wanted to talk about the Sabian symbols associated, the symbolism associated with the degree placement on Tuesday for some of these planets. Number one, the square that we have playing out between the nodes of the moon and the sun and the earth at 12 degrees. They're all at 12 degrees of cardinal signs. Sun 12 Cancer, Earth always in opposition to the Sun at 12 Capricorn, and then 12 Aries and Libra. That's where the nodes of the moon are. Listen to this symbolism. 12 Cancer, that Sabian symbol is a Chinese woman nursing a baby whose aura reveals him to be the reincarnation of a great teacher, of a great master, okay? The position of the Earth at 12 Capricorn, a student of nature lecturing, revealing little known aspects of life. So the position of the sun and the position of the moon both are talking about revealing things, okay? And revealing things that actually could be quite significant. And then we've got 12 degrees of Aries, the position of the North Node, a flock of wild geese flying in formation. And the position of the South Node, miners are emerging from a deep coal mine. So we've got the sun and the earth talking literally about some type of significant revelation that has like a powerful meaning behind it and perhaps a powerful purpose. And then we're talking about the air and the underworld, okay? We're talking about emerging into the air, a flock of wild geese flying in formation, this air sign energy, age of Aquarius that we're moving into, the Uranian energy coming through, the changes that are happening that are elevating us somehow, and miners are emerging from a deep coal mine. I'm telling you, there is something about emerging from the past through some type of revelation that is uplifting us somehow and actually contributing to a greater sense of like freedom, awareness, understanding, opening our mind, okay? So it'll be very interesting to see how this goes. The degree where Neptune is retrograding, 29 degrees of Pisces, that's actually the longest Sabian symbol in all of the symbols associated with the 360 degrees of the zodiac. That Sabian symbol is a majestic rock formation resembling a face, is idealized as a boy who takes it as his ideal of greatness, and as he grows up begins to look like it. So this symbol, this degree, to me, I feel like it's talking about releasing the ideals of the past, perhaps, that were sort of like the pillars of what we sought to attain, and really maybe reconfiguring what it is that we want to create generally going forward on these more existential levels. We're talking about 3 retrograde outer planets right now: Saturn, Pluto, Neptune. I feel like on a collective world stage, this is likely where we're going to see the majority. Well, I mean, of course, as above, so below, microcosm, macrocosm. Especially if your chart is being activated by what we've got going on right now, you're probably going to be feeling a lot of this quite specifically as well. But I feel like it's really hitting on a more collective level, world stage type level right now, in terms of maybe some of these events that are playing out and how they are transitioning us from, well, like I've also been talking about, this breakdown in authority, and how we are transitioning from this past paradigm of externalized control into this new incoming paradigm of our own inner authority sitting back on the throne. Okay, so that's what I have to say. That's what I'm going to say about the astrology today. Let's get into the tarot. The message coming through again, you know, in terms of the tarot cards today, like, there is something that we are coming to release that has been keeping us off balance, that has been keeping things like out of proper order, some type of like, again, like release from a karmic cycle that has not truly been doing us justice somehow in terms of our ability to go through a phase of soul growth that is being indicated right now by just where we're at in the unfolding, you know, energy of things as we're moving forth into this new energy that is requiring us to really like cut ties with everything in our lives that's not supporting the process of growth that we're going through right now. I feel like this, you know, it could be talking about a lot of things. We've got the 4 of Pentacles in reverse. We've got the Justice card in reverse. This is about releasing something that has not been fair, that has not been right, that has not been just, anything that we've been holding on to really that has not been serving us. I feel like this is talking about where we might find the ability or find support somehow in actually releasing that. It's also interesting. We got some, what are to me some significant cards that were happening on the back of the deck. Just like a series of cards. We've got the Ace of Swords in reverse, the Hermit, the Page of Swords, the Tower, and the Empress. And then with these, with a Four of Pentacles and the Justice card in reverse, I feel like it's, again, like the Ace of Swords in reverse. Like, this is a lie. This is something that is not true, that is not real. This is, you know, falsehoods. This is just some type of deception or not seeing things clearly somehow. And then we've got the Hermit. Okay, this is going within. This is stepping back. This is seeking like inner illumination, like something coming clear to us in a period of maybe like isolation or withdrawal. And what is coming clear to us is like this new insight, this fresh perspective, this new idea with the Page of Swords, or, you know, something. It's the Page of Swords also, people talk about it being like about like spying or just like gaining random pieces of information. Like, there could be some type of revelation, or we could just be coming across some type of random piece of information in a period of isolation or withdrawal. That Tower card creates some type of big change to our status quo, to what we value, to the relationships in our lives, to what we've been in a process of creating, or what we thought was in the process of being created. This is talking about, to me, figuring something out that leads to some type of big change in what we thought was like our ideal of abundance, or of like peace or happiness or comfort or something along those lines. But we could actually be realizing that we really need to let go of something because it's been out of balance or unfair. We could be figuring out something that changes what it is that we really want, what it is that we value, what it is that we seek to build, create, and, you know, find comfort and pleasure in, and stuff like that. What we wish to bring into fruition. The Empress has a lot to do with creativity and what we are growing to bring into fruition, into, you know, the reality. She's pregnant in the card usually. And it could be really like, there could be things going on right now that are, we're finding things out that are changing our mindset, changing our perspective about what it is that we want to put our time and energy maybe into creating, or what we want to do with our resources. Again, I mean, Mars, Uranus coming into conjunction in the sign of Taurus. This could also be sudden change in the context of how we're spending money, what we value, what we want to build, what we want to create. I mean, the Empress, this is Taurus energy to me, and we've got the Tower right here. So I don't know, you guys, but we could be finding something out that is in somehow altering what we are wanting to build, create, bring into fruition, spend money on, value, prioritize, I don't know, something like that going forward. Or it could be, this also could be finding out that you are unexpectedly pregnant. So that could be for randomly one person out there. I don't know, guys. That's what I'm going to say about the astrology and the tarot cards. Let's get one more card now. God, Spirit, Universe. These are all out of order. I need to go through and put them all back facing up. But, oh, we've already got one. One has already come out. And it says, change your thoughts, you guys. What do we have going on to start our month this month? Mercury is entering the sign of Leo. So that's a vibe shift in terms of our thoughts right there. But coming into an exact opposition with Pluto, that is mental transformation. Change your thoughts. And again, like, this is the breakdown of the belief systems, Saturn and Neptune retrograde in Pisces, the belief systems of the past that have literally been like the pillars of our reality. Change your thoughts, and it shall prosper in the thing for which I sent it, Isaiah 55:11. Whatever seed you plant will come back to you in its fruit. If you plant a bitter seed, you will get a bitter fruit. Sweetness will beget sweetness. Likewise, flavor your thoughts and your speech with sweetness, that you may dwell in a sweet life. Holding to your present thoughts will bring you unhappiness. It's interesting to me also in the context of the tarot reading that we just had, because that's what the Empress is. It's like, what have you planted and what is growing as a result of that? And with the Tower right before that, that's what I was saying. It's like something changing our mind, right? That's literally like just what I said with these tarot cards, like shifting our perspective, finding something out, changing our mind in a way that changes what it is that we are growing, what it is that we are building, what it is that we are creating and producing. This card is actually exactly explaining what I was like reaching for with that tarot message. It's so, you know, interesting how it does that. But yeah, so we are in a season right now where, you know, the way that all this is coming together, like that could be what is about to change bigly, is how we're viewing things and the seeds that we're planting as a result, and what those are going to grow into, and how that is going to alter the course going forward. So I'm gonna stop talking now, you guys. That's everything I have to say. I hope you guys liked it. If you did like it, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends if you think they would also be interested in narrating the shift of the ages with us. Leave me comments, you guys. You guys are the all-time absolute best. I'm so grateful for your presence here. I really appreciate knowing what's going on with you guys out there. If you are having, you know, experiences that are in alignment with what I'm talking about in these videos, I sure would appreciate you letting me know that in the comment section below. If you want to know what's on this here whiteboard, I have a Facebook group linked in my description box where I post images of those. And come back with me on Wednesday, you guys. We've got more astrology to get into as we make our way towards the new moon in Cancer that is happening on the 5th. I will be here to talk about it, and you should come back too. I know you don't want to miss it. So I will see you then, guys. Have a beautiful start to your week, start to your month, and until then, bye.